Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent Nintendo / gaming video for this week, for the week of August 29th to September 3rd. There won't be any video game review for this week, though, or any TV show or movie review for this week. A couple of things I'm dealing with over the weekend, though. Also, starting October, though, there may be a change in the way I upload videos and all that stuff in terms of what days I upload them and everything like that. Some of this has to do with what's going on at work and everything like that, so I'll have to wait and see how everything all plays out, but there is a possibility there could be a change in starting in October and all that. But anyway, we got 4 stories to cover, including, I want to give my thoughts on the DioField Chronicles, I'm saying the name correctly, because there's a demo that just recently came out for the Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via Steam, but I am basing this off of my time with the Switch demo, though. I also want to talk about basically rumors about the possibility of a Nintendo Direct happening this month. I also want to talk about, apparently there seems to be some form of DRM that supposedly can make this way to the Nintendo Switch, though. And I also want to talk about 2 possible Kickstarters from the makers of, basically from the folks who did the WoW Arms and the Shadow Hearts series, though. Now, if you're interested in where I got the source of these informations, though, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 Cent, and these are basically stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details and all. The first one has to do with, supposedly there is a post on Twitter and possibly Reddit about basically how many about a lot of games hitting the 1 million mark for the Nintendo Switch. This includes games like Super Mario 3D All-Stars, although there's been reports that sold 60,000 copies, to Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, though. It's kind of interesting to see some of these games hit the 1 million mark, though. I think it certainly is nice, though. Would have been nice if it was a bit higher, but hey, not bad for a lot of these games hitting the 1 million mark on the Nintendo Switch. We also learned that supposedly they have wrapped filming for the TV show for Twisted Metal that will be on, I believe, the Peacock network and all. It'll be very interesting to see how this one does, though. We've seen several shows based off video games make their way to the streaming service. There have been some hits and miss. While there have been some great ones like Witcher and the Castlevania series, there have been some myths such as the Resident Evil one, which I'll get to in a minute, and some controversial ones like the Halo series, which has sort of divided some folks on, to be exact. But we'll see how this one plays out when it premieres on the Peacock network and all. We also learned that someone put up a timeline theory of where each of the Mario games are located, and one person believes that Luigi's Mansion, the first one, takes place during the final installment of the Mario series. Now, it's a interesting theory, though, but there hasn't been any official timeline as far as I'm aware with the Mario games compared to the Zelda series, where you kind of have an idea of where the timeline is in which each game fits into which. There's been some that have been confirmed, some has been theory, though, but it is sort of a interesting theory, to be exact. We also learned that Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle has been played by over 10 million Switch users, though. I certainly think that's good, though. I think Mario plus Rabbids is one of the better games that Ubisoft has put out, though, compared to some of their other ones have been heavily focused on live service or anything and stuff like that. But it's certainly nice to see that 10 million users supposedly 10 million users enjoyed Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It does give me some hope for the upcoming release, Mario plus Rabbids Stars of Hope, though. We also learned that supposedly, and I mentioned this earlier, though, that the Resident Evil series, the live action one on Netflix, has been canceled after just 1 season. There is no word on the possibility, after 1 season. Supposedly they will not be renewing for a second season, though. It is a little bit unfortunate that had happened to this, though. But then again, the response to this has been kind of mixed. The trailer that they showed didn't exactly get the best response out there, to be exact, though. So yeah, a bit unfortunate, though. I mean, compare this to Resident Evil Infinite Darkness that was also on Netflix. I would have to say that one, I think, fared much better than this one, because that one, Infinite Darkness, seems more tied into the actual Resident Evil series than this one, though. I just feel the live-action Resident Evil series has not been the best of help. I mean, Paul Anderson's take has, though made a lot of money, have been hammered by critics, and the last live-action one that was in the theaters didn't really last long, and that basically bombed at the box office, though. We also learned that supposedly Biomutant has certainly surfaced again online for the Nintendo Switch, as a listing has popped up. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen this popped up before, though. It had happened before a couple years ago, though. It's unclear if this game will make its way to the Nintendo Switch, although the game did get mixed response when it came out, to be exact, though. But having said that, THQ Nordic has been much bigger supporter for the Nintendo Switch. They were able to bring out some games that we didn't think will make their way over, like Destroy All Humans, Darksiders 3, to even Kingdom of Amalur Re-Reckoning made its way over to the Nintendo Switch. Good game, I would like to point that out, though. So it will be really interesting to see if this one does, though. I think it's possible it can make its way over. We know that an updated next-gen version is going to be out soon. That's one for the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and X. So we'll have to wait and see, though. So yeah, I think I won't rule it out entirely. THQ Nordic has been more supportive of the Switch, Nintendo Switch, but I'm not going to go into and say it's officially going to happen and all. Oh, that's my cat. Hey, Rock. Hey. How you doing, kitty? How you doing? Come over here. Come over here. That's my cat, though. And last but not least, we also learned that UK authorities are revealing concerns over Xbox acquisition of, Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, though. They recently came out with some concerns and are possibly going into phase 2 of looking into this acquisition. This is different than what we heard from with Saudi Arabia and all, which gave the okay and go ahead on this, though. Well, I still think that the deal will probably go through, but again, I've heard several statements about this before, and I kind of agree with some of it, is that I wouldn't rule out the possibility of some sort of deal being worked out where basically something like, say, they'll let this deal go through in exchange of the fact that Call of Duty has to remain a multi-platform on every single system out there. So, I mean, yeah, it is definitely a bump in the road for Microsoft getting Activision Blizzard, although Phil Spencer released a statement on this matter, though. But despite that, I think the deal is still going to go through, but I wouldn't be surprised if some sort of compromise or some sort of, basically, some negotiation comes forth with it, though. Okay, with the quick My 2 cent part now done, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with Kickstarters, particularly 2 games that have been announced for the Kickstarters and all. Now, when it comes to video games being put on Kickstarters or any crowdfunding projects, though, there tends to be a hit and miss. There have been some games that have done well, like Shovel Knights, though, to Shantae Half Genie Hero, to even to some degree games like Yooka-Laylee and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. But at the same time, we've also seen cases of scams or atrocities or Kickstarters not living up to the expectation and all though. And obviously Mighty Number 9 rings a bell as another, which is a very good example of how a lot of things went wrong with the Kickstarter and all. So it's kind of interesting to hear that the developers of the Wild Arms series and the Shadow Heart series have announced to decide that they're running what is basically a double Kickstarter and all. And certainly it has perked some people's interest, including one statement that they made in regards of a Switch version or a Nintendo version. In an article from IGN, it reads that, quote, Wild Bunch Production and YUKKIKAZA has announced a double Kickstarter campaign for 2 games, Fantasia, if I'm saying the name correctly, To the End of Wilderness and Penny Blood. The former is a spiritual successor to Wild Arms, while the latter is one for Shadow Hearts. Wild Bunch is made up of creators behind Wild Arms, and Yuze, if I say that incorrectly, consists of former Shadow Hearts creators. The campaign will launch on August 29th, and the goal is to create a large-scale JRPG inspired by these classic titles, requiring $750,000 for both games. Word has it that they smashed that Kickstarter goal, from what I've been hearing, though, but I haven't been to their page, so I don't know 100% for certain, but I wouldn't be surprised if it actually did, though. Arm Fantasia takes place in the Wild West setting of Lundarim and follows a young man named Ingram who lost his grandfather. He is a pathfinder, an adventurer who wields a weapon called Arms to fight enemies called Anomalise that infests Lundarims. The game is a turn-based RPG where characters can land successful actions to disrupt enemies' turn order. It also feature a large world map where each party member possesses a unique gadget that can help overcome obstacles while exploring. Penny Blood is a dark gothic RPG that takes place during the 1920s during the Roaring 20 time periods and follows a man named Matthew Farrell, a private detective in New York working for the Bureau of Investigation. An incident leads him to investigate a mental asylum, but he finds it filled with monsters. Using transformation ability he inherited from his father, he takes them down. The story will take Matthew all across the world through Asia and Europe. The game is turn-based as well, but with some reaction time elements, though. Both Kickstarter campaigns will share a combat meter that affects the stretch goal of both games. Pledging for one will also contribute to the other stretch goal. Reaching the full funding goal will confirm both games for a PC release. Additional stretch goals will see the game being ported over to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo's most recent hardware at the time of the release. No launch window has been revealed yet for either game. Should be campaign reach its goal, though. I will get to the one about the Switch hardware one. They mentioned this in the IGN article. So it is certainly nice to hear that there are still some developers that want to deliver that classic, JRPG vibe and feel to it as well. So it certainly is nice indeed. Whether this Kickstarter becomes a success or not, it remains to be seen. But like I said, word has it that they did reach their stretch goal, though. I do hope that these games do are handled very well, and they end up and don't suffer the same fate as what we saw with games like Mighty Number 9, how that debacle of a mess turned out, though. So we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out. There has been some video of Arm Fantasia. They showed a teaser trailer of it. It looks like, and good idea what the game's going to be like, though. So we'll have to wait and see. As far as a Nintendo version or a Nintendo Switch version, mentioned in the IGN article, and I kind of agree with this and came to this conclusion. The fact that they said that they are looking at Nintendo's next system and all, I'm not 100% buying into that argument, to be exact. Now, I'm not a game developer. I wouldn't even know how to make a video game or anything like that. So they may know more than I would ever know, to be exact, though. So I'm not here to disrespect the developers or anything like that. The problem I have with this statement is that this is this very similar statement that we saw when Illusion Chronicles 100 Heroes, which ran their Kickstarter, they mentioned at the time Nintendo's most recent hardware and all that stuff. So it gave the impression that it was unclear if this game was coming to the Nintendo Switch, despite the fact that the game was running on the Unity engine, and Nintendo Switch does support the Unity engine, though. But what really got people's attention was when Elijah Chronicles Rising was announced, though, and it was announced for all systems, including the Nintendo Switch, with a description saying that stuff that you do there will carry over to 100 Heroes. That kind of caught people's attention, wondering, is that game coming to the Nintendo Switch? Eventually, the developers came out and said, yeah, we're bringing this game over to the Nintendo Switch. So I do have questions about that statement that the developers made about making Nintendo's next system. Now, granted, there are reports coming out that they're aiming for a 2025 release date. it is possible that by 2025 the situation could be a little bit different for Nintendo. It's possible we could have actually by then a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro or a next generation Switch or spiritual successor to the Nintendo Switch out by then. So there is that possibility, but still I cannot ignore the fact that basically this statement is very similar to what we saw when the developers of 100 Heroes made, and eventually that game made its way to the Nintendo Switch. So I'm not, like I said, I have nothing against the developers. I'm just not 100% buying the argument of Nintendo's next system. So overall, I hope these two Kickstarters are a success, though. I would like to see them succeed. I hope they avoid the pitfall that plagued Mighty Number 9. And while there's always a possibility that this could appear on Nintendo's next system, like I said, we saw what the developers of 100 Heroes said. They said the same thing, and that game made its way over to the Nintendo Switch. So, like I said, I'm not 100% buying that argument at all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with, apparently, Denuvo is looking at bringing their so-called DRM service to, at least to the Nintendo Switch to some degree. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my Mind You Sent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at DRM, particularly one company that is looking to install their DRM practice, or at least their DRM software, into the Nintendo Switch. Now, DRM has been sort of controversial for a lot of gamers, to be exact. While we've heard the argument that DRM is used to prevent piracy and all that stuff, not everybody seems to buy that argument in any shape and form, as most games still get, as we see games do get, end up pirated anyway, or emulated to be exact, to a situation where a lot of it is always online, checking, to having some issues with performance though. But that hasn't stopped some developers from embracing DRM in some form, in some fashion. Well, recently, a company known as Denuvo, if I'm saying the name correctly, has announced that they are planning to bring their DRM software over to the Nintendo Switch, which not only got a lot of response, but the company also had to make another response to what people were responding to. So in an original article from Nintendo Life, this one published on the 24th of Wednesday of August, it reads that cybersecurity company IRDETO has revealed some brand new tech to help protect Switch games from piracy. Denuvo, a somewhat controversial DRM technology first used on FIFA 15 back in 2014, aims to integrate effortlessly into the developer's build toolkit without impacting the game itself, as well as inserting checks into the code to block playing the game on emulators. As you expect, this Nintendo Switch emulation protection tech hasn't gone down particularly well online. Denuvo, if I'm saying the name correctly, is already controversial with PC gamers, and many have claimed it affects performance from frame rate drops to longer loading times, claims which the maker disputes. So when games come out on stream with Denuvo anti-piracy, including players often makes them make their feelings known. Sometimes developers have gone back and removed the DRM software for their games post-release, as was the case with the Steam version of Rage 2. The company has said it decided to provide a solution that helps developers and publishers to help fight the issue of Nintendo Switch piracy. The company has also said that Nintendo console has long suffered from the piracy issue, and the Switch is no different, and it aims to change that, presumably by providing this technology for studios to load into their Switch game during development. My cat just went around. Okay. The company said on their website this, quote, emulating any Nintendo Switch game on a PC is easy, and there are almost 4,500 of them available at present. Some gamers emulate titles on the release date, playing them without spending a penny. By protecting your game with our solution, you'll force all players to buy it. Now, this didn't sit well with everybody, and some Switch owners have taken to Twitter with their response to this. Some write, "Oh dear." Some write, "I can't wait for Switch games to run even worse and require online checkup though." Another person write, "Good luck Switch owners. On PC, this can significantly increase RAM usage and degrade CPU performance, both of which the Switch can afford." So not everybody is certainly happy about this. Following this announcement, apparently the folks there sort of did a follow-up statement to try to clear the air a little bit. In a follow-up article on Thursday, the 25th of August, it reads, quote, "Earlier this week at Gamescom, Denuvo by IREDETO launched a Nintendo Switch emulation protection solution to safeguard games launched on a hybrid system. Essentially, it's going to be inserted into Switch games in an attempt to prevent them from being played on emulator." Basically, as they mentioned, it doesn't have the the greatest reputation on PC. Since this announcement, there has been some concerns raised about Nintendo's possible involvement. According to Kotaku, a Denuvo spokesman has clarified that Nintendo is not involved with this Switch DRM initiative. This solution is apparently in response to demand from Denuvo's existing publishing partner, and it also states how performance won't be impacted though. Basically in their response, they said, quote, because of the NDA, we are not allowed to disclose companies' names, but we can say the solution comes from strong demand from publishing partners. Software publishers and Denuvo take great care to deliver the best gaming experience. The protection is designed not to affect the gamer's experience and does not have any in-game performance impact. It is the same for this new solution when protection is only active in non-performance critical code part. They also mentioned that this is being designed that this was a solution designed to be fully offline, not online though. Obviously, Switch emulator platforms have vowed to continue to develop emulation for Nintendo Switch Hyper system in response to this announcement though. So is this going to end any emulation to the Nintendo Switch? I would say the answer is probably no. Even with this Denuvo or whatever it's called being implemented for the Nintendo Switch, I still can't see how this is going to stop emulation in general though. I'm still mixed about emulation to some degree though. I mean, I can understand some arguments for and against it though, but regardless, I don't see this stopping pirating or emulation in general, to be exact though. And it does sound like, if what their statement is true, it doesn't sound like Nintendo has any involvement in this whatsoever, which I think it's good. I mean, could we see this have a negative impact on upcoming Switch games from third-party publishers and developers? It's a possibility, though. Again, I'm not a PC gamer. I never gamed on PC before, so I mean, I can understand why some PC gamers are not happy about this, like always online connection or having to check online every time, even for a single player game. I get that argument. I think that is a dumb thing to happen though, but I've never really experienced this before or anything like that. So we'll have to wait and see on this one though, but overall, I would say I'm very mixed on this though. I understand not every developer, I understand that there are those who don't like the idea of their games being emulated or pirated and everything like that. I can understand that, but at the same time, I can also understand why some gamers, particularly PC gamers, are not happy with the idea of having to be always online, even for something like a single player game and all that. So it's going to be really interesting to see if this is implemented for third-party developers. It'll be interesting to see who takes advantage of it and whether it has a real negative impact on the Nintendo Switch or not. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with rumors about a possible Nintendo Direct. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at rumors of the possibility of a Nintendo Direct happening this month. Now, since E3 did not happen this year, though, we didn't get a Nintendo, E3 digital presentation or Direct or anything like that. And Nintendo has been kind of quiet on terms of doing some of the Directs. We didn't really get we didn't get a big, we didn't get a big one, or certain ones throughout the summer to be exact though, and that kind of raised speculation of what was Nintendo planning, especially for the fall. I mean, outside of the fact that we know that Bayonetta 3 is happening, and maybe some third-party titles here and there, Nintendo didn't show a huge amount of their fall lineup, and that kind of threw into question what was going to be their fall lineup indeed. Well, recently, Jeff Grubb, who basically has a hit and a miss sometimes though, did come out with basically what he believes is that we could be seeing a Nintendo Direct on the 12th of September. Now, granted, this is a rumor, so any rumor like this should be taken with an absolute grain of salt no matter what though. But, I mean, I can't completely rule out the possibility that Nintendo could be doing a Direct on the 12th of September. So we'll have to wait and see if that officially happens. But anyway, in an article from Nintendo Life, it reads the quote, speaking on the last Nintendo Dogs podcast and live stream, Grubbs, who's got a strong track record when it comes to industry rumors, again, hit and miss to some degree, said the following regarding a potential Nintendo Direct. He said, 100% there is a Nintendo Direct in September, it's that simple. Both Grubb and co-host Mike joked about people tired of being burned by a summer full of Direct rumors, but are confident that we'll get a Nintendo Direct in September, a prediction which stands a good chance on being on the money. Typically, September is the month for Nintendo to hold a big old Direct, with the exception of the partner showcase back in 2020. So to see one again in 2022 would not be too large of a surprise. Of course, bold predictions are one thing, but Grubbs quits to provide more details of what event might or indeed might not entail. According to a pretty good source, the Direct will be taking place on the week of September 12th. This would place it right between Labor Day in the US and the Tokyo Game Show, meaning that the event could soak up all the gaming spotlight for that brief period though, although we've heard reports that Microsoft will be at the Tokyo Game Show, so we'll see how that one goes though. As for the size of the Direct, it seems the source was not as precise, torn between a general or what we like to call a proper around these parts, a mini or potential partner showcase. The presenter said that only that the date is clear at the moment. Moving on to discuss what we could see at this Direct, the presenter, or this person, was very clear in their prediction, and Grubb state the following. I think there's going to be a lot of Zelda at this thing. I think this is going to be a Zelda blowout for Nintendo. The pair specifically named Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD ports coming to the Switch, as well as fueling our desire for Breath of the Wild 2 news, as they tease this could be the event Nintendo finally reveals the game's official title. Rumors of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker Switch ports have been doing the rounds for a long time now, so perhaps with Breath of the Wild 2 hopefully nearing completion, this could be the perfect time to reveal them in order to keep us Zelda fans dutifully topped up with content until the next Switch original release. In other news, Grubb also suggests that the Direct could see the announcement of the also long rumored Metroid Prime Remaster, while Mike hoped that we might get to see some Advance War 1 and 2 reboot camp information during the course of the presentation. While these two titles joining our already intimidating list of potential Zelda news, we think the chances of all these games will make the Direct is somewhat slim, and hey, Grubbs has been proven wrong before. Remember when he said Roller Champions were going to end at Season 3? Well, let's just say Ubisoft were quick to shut that one down. So obviously, a grain of salt should be taken, though. Jeff Grubb yes, has a history of getting things wrong, so you should always be very careful, but he's also known to get certain things right, though. I wouldn't rule out, like I said, I wouldn't rule out the possibility that we could see a direct this month. Maybe on a September 12th, maybe not, so we'll have to see. As far as it being a Zelda blowout, though, I mean, there are many ways you could look at it, though. It's possible that it could be just, you know, a celebration of the Zelda series. It could just be merchandise or anything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if we hear some announcements of some games also there as well. I mean, if they are truly announcing Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD for the Nintendo Switch, I'm kind of curious what direction Nintendo will go with this. Will this be basically, will this be a eShop only release? Will there be a physical version? And if so, is it going to be like both games in one cartridge? Is it going to be both games sold separately? Or is it going to be one game on a cartridge, the other one on a piece of paper, or an empty box with a piece of paper? Not the type I don't like that kind of approach, indeed. So we'll have to wait to see what emerges from this, though. As for Breath of the Wild 2, or the sequel to Breath of the Wild, I mean, it's possible they could show up a bit more gameplay and all, but it's also possible nothing about that is shown at all, to be exact, though. I mean, they could announce the title if this Zelda blowout happens at this Nintendo Direct, though, but maybe not. But my money is still on the fact it won't be called Breath of the Wild 2. I could be wrong, but given Nintendo's history when it comes to naming entries in the Zelda series, I just don't think it's going to be called Breath of the Wild 2. As for the Metroid Prime remaster and all, I mean, that may not be a bad thing to show off, and maybe something about Metroid Prime 4 and all. I'm still mixed about Nintendo. I'm still mixed about this in terms of, assuming this is true, about doing a remaster of Metroid Prime, which I really would have been happy with the Metroid Prime trilogy, all three games in one, onto the Nintendo Switch, but it is what it is. I mean, still, Metroid Prime was a fun game back then, and it still is a fun game till this day. I wouldn't be against the idea of a remaster of that game. As far as Advance Wars 1-2 Reboot Camp, though, I think it's high time Nintendo released the title, though. I mean, I understand at the time they weren't too sure, given the sensitivity because of the war in Ukraine when back in February Russia invaded Ukraine and all, but I think now, it's at a point where it's like, I think they have to release that title at this moment. I know Nintendo has a history of sitting on titles that are done, but I think at this point it's time to release that title, though. So overall, I would say I'm still taking this with somewhat of a grain of salt, though. We don't know if this information is correct. We know Jeff Grubb has a history of being right and wrong on certain things, though, but it wouldn't entirely surprise me if we see a Nintendo Direct in September. Whether or not it's going to be on the 12th or earlier or later, that, however, remains to be seen, assuming this rumor is true and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part. And this one has to do with, I want to give my thoughts on the demo of the DioField Chronicles that Square Enix has released a demo on to multiple systems. I'm going to be looking at the Nintendo Switch demo. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video. And for this one, I want to give my thoughts on the demo, particularly I played the Nintendo Switch demo of the DioField Chronicles, if I'm saying the name correctly, the upcoming new game from Square Enix and all. Now, most people, when they think of Square Enix, they think of a lot of, the big budget AAA titles, particularly like Final Fantasy and all, and of course at one point Tomb Raider before they sold them off to Embracer Group and all, to be exact though. But we've also seen lately, this generation, Square Enix has certainly pushed out some smaller titles, to be exact, some running on the HG 2D graphics. I'm talking about games like Octopath Traveler, Bravely Default 2, Triangle Strategy, Let's see, Triangle Strategy though. Live Alive is another good example though. I Am Tsushima, Lost Sphere. So we've seen them push out some smaller titles, and some of these smaller titles are not that bad at all. Well, recently though, we learned that they will be pushing out another small title this year called the DioField Chronicles though. Now recently they did release a demo for multiple systems, including Nintendo Switch. And I will say that my time with the game so far has been pretty positive, to be exact though. The story itself, I will say, is that you definitely get a little bit of a Valkyrie Chronicles vibe out of it to a certain degree though. Basically, it's these two warring nations though, although one won, and now they're setting their sight on this other nation, to be exact though. So there is some degree to that Valkyrie Chronicles vibes to it though. As far as gameplay goes, to me the gameplay kind of reminds me a little bit of Obsidian's Pillars of Eternia to a certain degree. The game is basically somewhat of a strategy RPG to some extent though. You'll be able to control 4 characters though. One, you won't be able to, you could choose which characters you want to do for each missions and all that stuff. The other character, while you won't be able to control, you will be able to use like their special moves and all that stuff. And each character has their own strengths and weaknesses though, and you do have to take some tactical approach to be exact though. Some of it could be depending on which enemies you take on. Some of it could be if you ambush an enemy, like hit them from behind and all that stuff. And you can basically move each character on the battlefield and all. Sometimes there are times when you can move all your characters at once, so you don't have to like put one here and then you go back and move the other one here. You can move all of them to that spot if you want to. Some of the characters they had was basically a lance, basically one on horseback though, one with a sword and shield, one is assassin, one is an archer, one is a sorceress though, and then you basically show their field of view of when they can attack and all that stuff. At the same time, the enemies have that as well, and if you don't move your character out of the way, they will basically get caught in the line of fire because they have special moves just like your character does. And they also have like an ultimate special move where you fill up these 3 orbs basically by defeating enemies or finding these orbs on the field, in the battlefield, where basically if you fill that up, it fills up one of the orbs, and I think all 3 of them have to be filled, but it could be just one where you can use a special move that really attacks a lot of enemies on the battlefield, to be exact though. So gameplay wise, isn't that bad. And between missions, you have the ability to basically, upgrade your characters, ranging from buying gear and weapons. You earn money during some of these missions, to basically you also can upgrade special abilities from them as well. And you can also at certain points replay or practice certain missions to better off level up your character or get money in case you need to buy a certain gear, or basically buy certain gear or complete certain side missions, to be exact though. So from a gameplay perspective though, it is definitely not bad or anything like that. As far as the visuals go, I would say it's a mixed bag to some degree. While it's definitely isn't terrible looking, it's not exactly going to be it's not exactly great either. I think the visuals, at least on the Nintendo Switch version, were a little bit grainy at times, at least based on my time on it though, but nothing to really lose sleep over, to be exact though. Obviously, it's not going to look as good as what you would see maybe like on a PS4 or a PS5 or Xbox One or Xbox Series S and X or PC for that matter, but it doesn't look that terrible at all. One thing I do want to point out is that while I had no problem playing the game with the controller or anything like that, the way the user face or the way the menu, how everything's set up though, it almost feels like this game is more designed for those who more towards that mouse and keypad kind of approach. And that kind of makes me wonder if the developers missed an opportunity to maybe somewhat use motion controls on the Switch as sort of try to recreate as much as possible that point and click type of approach though, because I feel as though this game, the way Square Enix and the developers designed this game, it kind of feels more that it feels more at home with that mouse and keyboard setup though. Don't get me wrong, it still works with a controller and it works fine based on my time with it though. But it does kind of feel a little bit like it's more towards a mouse and keyboard kind of approach. The demo does mention that there may be bugs or anything in the game. Oh, that's my cat. Rocky, are you okay? Rocky? It's my cat, though. Anyway, the demo points out there might be bugs in the game, though. As far as my time with it, though, I really didn't see any bugs whatsoever or anything that the game crashed or anything like that, though. So nothing really on that front or anything like that. And I believe, though, that if you complete the demo or anything like that, any progress you made in the demo can be transferred over to the main game. So if you're interested in picking this game up though, if you have tried the demo out, any progress you made you could take over to the main game, which by all means that's not a bad thing at all. So there certainly is nice though. Overall, I would say my time with the game though has been perfectly... my cat's up here. Say hi to everyone on YouTube, Rocky. Anyway, my time with the game, to be exact, though, has been pretty good, though. I like what they are doing with this game, the DioField Chronicles, though. I definitely am enjoying the game so far, though. It might be something that I'm definitely going to look up and picking up from the Nintendo Switch. To be exact, I like the fact that Square Enix does these smaller titles and so forth, though, you know, a break every now and then for doing Final Fantasy, though. And while visually the Switch version doesn't look hugely great, it's not terrible by any stretch of imagination. Like I said before, obviously the other versions are going to look better, but this one looked fine. But either way, I'm enjoying the demo though. It is good and it's worth taking a look at. If you're interested in any gameplay, link will be in the description of this video though. And if you're not sure about the game, try the demo out, see if it clicks with you, and if it does, hey, any progress you made in the demo, it will be transferred over to the main game, at least as far as I am aware of though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about this Kickstarter of Arm Fantasia and Penny Blood, though? Are you looking forward to this game from the spiritual successors of Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts, though? Have you by any chance donated to this Kickstarter campaign? Do you think that this game will come to Nintendo's platform? And if so, do you believe it will still come to Nintendo Switch or Nintendo's next system, whatever that might be? What are your thoughts about this DRM possibly coming to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think some people are blowing it way out of proportion, or do you think this could be a major issue for gamers, especially folks who are concerned about, you know, having to check online and all that stuff, and given the history of this DRM and all? What are your thoughts about the rumors about the possibility of a Nintendo Direct this month? Do you think it will happen? Do you think it won't happen? Do you think it will be a Zelda blowout by any chance? And what are your thoughts about the DioField Chronicles? Do you agree with what I said about the demo? Do you disagree? Have you tried the demo out? Has this game clicked with you? And if so, are you planning to pick up the Switch version or PS4 or the PS4 or the Xbox One or the PS5 or Xbox Series X and S or the PC version though? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree with what I said in this video? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video so you can watch this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, wish you all a good day then. Bye!